Hello, this is Debbie Johnson for the next installment of the Renegade Rebellion Deberosa shorts. And today I want to talk about what is conservative, because it seems to be, in my opinion, a little bit confusing. So I decided to do some research. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about, what are the values of the GOP, the Republican Party, and what are their true values through actions. How do you find that out? And I want to emphasize through all of this that the media of all kinds is really unreliable, because I even discovered some things in this research that you must look at what they do and what are their actions, rather than what the media tells you about the GOP and about the candidates. Okay, so the next thing, the first thing I did was I went to the Virginia GOP site and I found this. And this is just copied directly from their site. And it goes into that, they like the free enterprise system. And they say individuals are entitled to equal rights, justice, and opportunities. And should assume their responsibilities as citizens of a free society. So along with those rights come responsibilities. The fiscal responsibility and budgetary restraints must be exercised at all levels of government, and they did specify all levels of government. And then they say that the federal government must preserve our individual liberty by observing constitutional limitations. Doesn't say anything about whether the state GOP feels that way about state government or local government. And that peace is best preserved through a strong national defense, and that faith in God, as recognized by our founding fathers, is essential to the moral fiber of the nation. So I don't know what the what the caveat there is, but that is the GOP platform for the state of Virginia. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the national GOP and see what they say. And I couldn't find a platform. I looked all over on the RNC site, and then I found this, and it's in a PDF form, and it said there was a resolution regarding the Republican Party platform, and it goes through a bunch of whereases. Whereas the National Committee, RNC, has significantly scaled back the size and scope of the 2020 Republican National Convention due to strict restrictions on gatherings and meetings. Well, I think the convention was pretty big, but, okay, it's COVID excuse. The RNC has unanimously voted to forego the convention committee on the platform. And in appreciation of the fact that it did not want a small contingent of delegates formulating the new platform without the breadth of perspective, blah, blah, blah. And all platforms are snapshots of historical context, so they're not any good anyhow. And then it talks about had we been able to convene in 2020, we would have undoubtedly unanimously agreed to reassert the party's strong support of President Donald Trump and his administration. We didn't resolve that, but we for sure would have. And whereas the media has outrageously misrepresented the implications of the RNC not adopting the new platform, well, there might be a time when I agree with the media here. This is a little strange. And it totally surprised me when I started to do this research. And the RNC enthusiastically supports President Trump and continues to reject the policy positions of the Obama-Biden administration. We'll talk about ancient history, but let's see what they resolved, whereas they did all these whereases. Republican Party has and will continue to enthusiastically support the President's America First agenda. I do hope they mean President Trump's, because now it's outdated. We'll see what they do in 2024. Be interesting. But it resolved that the Republican National Convention will adjourn without adopting a new platform until the 2024 Republican National Convention. So that's what they did. They call on the media to be unbiased reporting, which of course it didn't. And then any motion to amend the 2016 platform or to adopt a new platform, including any motion to suspend or proceed the procedures that will allow doing so, will be ruled out of order. So they shut down any changes to the 2016 platform, and I could not find the 2016 platform, so there's that too. So that is the RNC, national level. So what I did next was I went to Trump's site, and it's pretty straightforward: www.donaldjtrump.com, and he has two subsites: Agenda 47 and Issues. Agenda 47 is a document that he's just recently come out with, and he's documenting what he plans to do on his first days back in office. And it very much parallels everything he says in his interviews and in his rallies. I listened to all of them because I found out that the media only picks and chooses little snippets of what he says rather than exactly what he says. And it's very important that you know the difference. So he's going to rebuild the military. He's going to protect. I'm just going to go through this very slowly so you can, scan through it. But he's protecting Americans by taking on big pharma. That's huge. And Biden took credit for reducing the pharmaceutical costs, and it was really something that Trump did before he left office. Very strange. And we just go through all of the things he's been talking about, addressing the rise of chronic childhood illnesses. And if you listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that's the vaccines that big pharma is pumping into our kids is alluding to those kinds of issues. But all the details are in his statements as he goes through Agenda 47. Now, I don't know why it's called 47. I haven't looked that up. Maybe somebody does know that. And preventing World War III, that would be a nice thing. And he has his 2 pages of what his agenda is. And if you know from his first time in office, he just went down through his agenda and ticked off the things that he promised and did them. So if he does all of this, I think we will be quite thrilled. And if you think that I will right directly up front state my Trump bias in the world. So if you don't want to hear that, you don't want to hear my videos. Okay, so let's look at issues. Were more of a straightforward overall what his issues are. Very specific, very action oriented. Okay, and then he has details on each one that you can go through and look at the details and what he means by, and these are things he talks in his route. The energy dominance, which Biden has ruined, the secure borders, which Biden has ruined, the war on drug cartels, which Biden opened up, the crime that's happening, all of these things, the parents' rights, our education system, our healthcare system, all of it is so. And free, honest, and lawful elections. All of these he plans to take on when he becomes president. Okay, so that was President Trump. A little bit different than what the GOP, alludes to. So then I just took another example, and I will tell you, it's very difficult to um, find these in search criteria if you use Google. I tried to look for conservative values and all of this, and it is buried in all kinds of liberal stuff. So even in DuckDuckGo, it was hard to find examples of conservative values. But this is just a congressman from Louisiana, and he had 7 basic areas. And then on his website, then he would detail out what that meant to him, and news articles, and I believe voting records, as legislation he's introduced and so on, based on each of his core values. So I thought that was a really good way for he's communicating with his constituents in an organized fashion, instead of just a random newsletter that just talks about happy stuff. So that was interesting to me as an example. But what you need to do is look up your own candidate, find their website, see if they have any values, and what their actions are according to them, and how are they funded. That'll tell you quite a bit about whether you got a rhino or whether you got a true conservative. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. And in summary, what do you notice? I listed out a few of the things that I noticed. Maybe you'll notice some other things as you dig into this topic. What are your values? You have to be firm in your values to understand how the candidates will fit with your values. Notice none of the state or the national GOP mentioned anything about right to life. How are they matching up with actions? And that's really important. Actions, not media reports, actions. The media distorts that, and I'm going to do a whole separate video on how the media is distorting the information that you get about what's going on in the world. And so you talk about grassroots conservatives. They were definitely attacked in the Virginia primaries. Big money was spent on attacking grassroots conservatives. And from what I can tell, in my humble opinion, IMHO, a grassroots conservative is a MAGA conservative, and a MAGA conservative is a Trump supporter. And that means a Trump supporter through and through, not saying, oh, I support Trump, and then go support, drag shows for children or whatever. A true Trump supporter. You got to wear the hat, in my opinion. Okay, so that's about all I have for today, and hope you got something out of it. Like I said, it was very enlightening to me when I actually went into the National GOP site and said, well, what do they stand for? Pretty much nothing. That's quite alarming. So till the next time, do some research. Write in the comments what you found. I'd be interested to know. Thanks a lot.